Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. I'm afraid we have to continue. Actually, I'm not afraid. I mean, we have to continue where we left off yesterday, because as of yesterday, we had scant news. Now, by the way, I'm talking about the 333 pupils of Government Science Secondary School in Kankara, Katsina State. Now we hear that the abductors have made contact. Okay, so that's where we are, and that's what we'll be talking about today. Where we're still trying to work out the mystery. How do 333 schoolboys, how do you move them out of a place? How many vehicles? How many vehicles, how many buses, how many coasters, how many trailers would have been necessary? But we're hearing that it was a motorcycle affair, and in some cases, they actually marched the young boys on foot. Well, my guest this morning is DG International Institute of Professional Security. He's also a lawyer, Mr. Tony Ofoyeta. Tony, good morning. Great to have you as always.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Good morning.
Thank you for coming in, sir. Is this any clearer to you? Because everybody has been expressing, from the president, they've been expressing surprise. Yesterday we dealt with the whole matter of the infra dig, doing this in the president's home state while the president was there. But put all of that aside for a moment. The latest situation, what do you think, Tony?
Well, you know, when I looked at the whole thing, and I did a juxtaposition, the Chibok girls, the Dapchi girls, then the Kankara boys. And I came to the conclusion, rebuttably anyway, that it's like we have people in high power that use this as either a conduit pipe or a business opportunity. I remember I said it in one of the forum this morning, that look, if DSS goes into the root of this whole abduction thing, the question should be who stands to gain? Who are those that are benefiting from it? It's not a matter of one set coming to say we are responsible. The Chibok issue, the girls that were released, how much ransom was paid? The Dapchi girls, how much ransom was paid? Now the Kankara, the governor is already coming out to say that they have contacted him.
Yeah.
How? How? To contact a governor is not like contacting any other human being.
Yeah.
It's not. So it means that there must be some machinery that are in place to the extent that the governor would have to speak with those that are involved and say, and what do they want? Now, if the governor is saying that they have contacted me, what are they saying they want? That's the issue. So at the end of the day, since there was no information with respect to Chibok, no information with respect to Dapchi, and now we are not talking about Katsina, for goodness sake, I think the DSS should swing into action and ask who are those that are financially benefiting from this whole saga. Because to me, it seems like a business that EFCC in 20 years' time cannot, in short, is a closed and forgotten thing. Because if you say you spend 10 billion, 20 billion to rescue 333 children, in 20 years' time, who will fault that? Who is going to tell you that the money you spent is too much? Then the question would be, should I have allowed them to die? I hope you understand that. So these are issues that I think that because the first one, no consequence, no head rolled, nobody was apprehended, nothing happened. The second one, the same thing too. Nobody was arrested, nobody was apprehended, no head rolled in the military, in the civil, nobody. It died just like that. And here we are again. And it will still continue. Now you are talking of Northeast one, North Central one, Northwest one. Now at the end of the day, you now come to South. Don't forget that, look, these terrorists, they also look at the body language of those that are the helm of affair. Who are those that are in high-powered position, that are capable of pulling this whole thing? The governor may not be aware. He may also be aware. The chief of army staff may not be aware. He may also be aware. DSS top officers may not be aware. They will also be aware. Because before something like this will happen, it will be difficult for you to convince me that intelligence ought not to have. Because DSS is in every nook and cranny of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That is what a lot of Nigerians
I repeat, DSS is in every nook and cranny of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it means that the tendency that intelligence has gotten to the table of somebody about it. But intelligence is useless if it is not used as at when it ought to be used.
And there have been occasions where after the event, we hear that there was actually intelligence, but it was not engaged with.
Yes. So you see, when we have this reoccurring decimal, I am not too sure that, you know, we are going to go places with all this. Now, it's good enough now that we are talking about playing with human lives. Human lives. And I keep asking this question. What is the value that our president is placing on human life?
There you go.
If you do it in juxtaposition with just an American that was not staying in America, staying in Niger, abducted in Niger, transferred to Sokoto, an American government with the whole of its military apparatus came to Nigeria, rescued that young man, a farmer's son or something like that, for that matter.
Well, you remember, Tony, it has been said that it is the president's style, that is our president's style. What the situation that we have. A lot of people, for whatever it is going to be worth, would have wanted to be addressed by the president. But what we have instead is a statement from Garba Shehu saying that the Governor Masari and his deputy have been in contact with the president, and that the president is most anxious and very hopeful that we will get our boys back. That reminds me, get our boys back, bring our boys back. We just come out of
bring our girls. We are not out of it.
Tony, before you comment, let's take this report that we have by Sifon Essien.
Usman Abdullah is grappling with the sad reality. His 14-year-old son is still missing days after gunmen attacked the government science secondary school, Kankara. It's a harrowing experience for the farmer who lives within the neighborhood.
The people who did this are familiar with our community. They know us. It's hard to believe they could take my child.
Abdullah's son is among the 333 schoolboys still missing after the attack, according to the governor. The locals believe the kidnapping of the schoolboys is in retaliation for an early attack on one of their settlements by vigilantes. Kankara has witnessed a number of attacks since July 2019. During the penultimate incident, 12 persons were killed, according to the locals. In the wake of the recent incident, security forces say they have located where the abducted schoolboys were taken.
The very likely culprits are the bandits that are operating in the northwest, especially by the information from the Ministry of Defense that they've been sighted in a nearby forest, which is close to Kankara. If you look at the map, you will see the forest roughly about maybe less than 100 kilometers from Kankara. And then that forest would also lead to the bigger forest in Kaduna, in Birningwari. Now, these are all locations where we know bandits are operating. However, the challenge is this. We know that in the last few months, these bandits have had contact with terrorists. And the way this abduction happened is reflective of the Chibok abduction.
The incident has sparked protests in the Katsina state capital, and more groups are threatening to take to the streets. It also raises arguments about the status of the Safe School initiative launched after the Chibok schoolgirls' abduction.
I recall that in 2019, Nigeria signed what is called Safe School Declaration. That Safe School Declaration, I've studied that document. It gives, basic security measures that the government, school authorities, local government, even communities, CSOs, everybody has a role in ensuring that schools are protected during conflicts. But of course, it's a long way from signing a document and the implementation. Maybe this Katsina will jog us back to where Gordon Brown left us.
Prime Minister Gordon Brown, he, together with other international dignitaries, came together and started the initiative with a fund of 2.3 million euro. And the objective of that fund was to support schools, school communities, including pupils, teachers, school administrators, to enhance their security profile. Also, the communities where the schools are located improve their security. And then lastly, vulnerable populations within school environments to improve their safety and security.
The situation brings to the fore how vulnerable schools are across the country. Sifon ACN, TVC News.
Thanks to Sifon. Still with Tony Ofoyeto in studio here. In the midst of all of this, you know, in addition to all that you've said, we also need to be reporting, as people might have seen already, that the Sultan of Sokoto, no less, has actually lamented, saying that we're fed up with the worsening situation. And this is where the Sultan led monarchs to Maiduguri to commiserate with the people of the government and people of Borno. But as he said it's not just about commiserating, but to also register that we are fed up with the state of insecurity. Now, we left off, remember when I was saying that, we haven't heard from our president. And I don't know if these times are not the kind of time, or
Uncle Yari, look,
perhaps is it that it wouldn't make any difference?
Uncle Yari,
and that the president knows it wouldn't make any difference?
It is better that the president says nothing. It is not.
But you want a certain reassurance from your president.
Look. Go into antecedent, not minding the fact that, number one, President Buhari will not say anything other than read what his lieutenant would have written for him. That is one. And secondly is the fact that, look at most cases.
But that was a bit unfair. No, because that gives the impression that these are not the president's words. But I don't think he would ever read any word that didn't agree.
We are in Nigeria together. You are a Nigerian, I'm a Nigerian. Let's not be pretentious about some things. I've been with this president in this nation since inception, from day one. I've not had the president come out to, like the other president previously, that will go grant press interviews that will address issues one-on-one without any formal paper and the like. That's not the issue. You are talking of issues where spontaneously you react to issues, not necessarily from prepared speech and all those stuff like that. And even the prepared speech at the end of the day, you and I would even be angered. You will be so unhappy. You would have preferred him not talking at all. I don't want to go to the NSAS saga and the like. Look at the way that, if it's media people and the like, look at the construction of what they asked him to read during the NSAS crisis. Did it solve any problem? Rather, it generated into people getting more angry. I think, as far as I'm concerned, instead of provoking people the more, it is better that he keeps quiet. Look at the body language of the president. You are talking of people missing, and the president is going to his cow, to his ranch, to go and inspect cow, instead of going to look to the schools.
Yeah,
I mean, let's be realistic about some things.
The only part that I sort of have an issue with in all that you've said is that what they tell him to read.
I'm not saying what they tell. I said he's always reading from prepared speech.
Because the president can never read what he does not agree with.
So I'm not saying what they tell him.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm saying is always reading from prepared speech.
Yeah,
we want to hear our president talk, as in talk, not read.
You hardly ever hear that. We hardly ever hear that.
I don't know. I stand to be corrected.
No, you're right. We hardly ever hear that.
And I said that, look, in most cases, when he talks to, rather than address and pacify, what you see at the end of the day are things that will even end up provoking people. So it is better. His nature is, right from the word go, it's not new. Idiagma Buhari regime is not the type that talks. It's not the type that grants press and all those stuff like that. But even if he's not talking, and he's doing the right thing, and he's listening to the people, and he's acting when he ought to act, when the people say, this is what we want, he's not going to listen to them more than the few lieutenants that are surrounding him. The voice of the people is the voice of God. It is a democratic rule, not a military rule. Look, do you know what it means for northern elders to more or less like pass a vote of no confidence on him?
Effectively.
That is the meaning of what is happening.
Effectively.
It's a vote of, there is no two grammatical expression about
it.
And these are the same set of people that came all out to vote for him. Look at the body language and look at the speech of the Sultan of Sokoto. It's not a matter of politics. If you look at what is happening, Masari is an APC guy. The guy that said that it was only 10 people that were abducted is from APC. So you look at even the house itself, it's disjointed, it's disconnected, it's not coordinated. At the end of the day, Mr. President is supposed to independently go into fact-finding mission on each situation. Because as it is now, the 48 or 43 rice farmers that were slaughtered in Cobra, that's what we are still talking about. Now this one has come to bury that one. That's the implication. What do you think will come next week that will cover this Kankara crisis?
So the matter is getting worse. And as the Sultan of Sokoto was saying, quote, we had at various fora with our political leaders mention these things on how to take care of our security in various communities. We have written papers. We have sent our governors. We have discussed with all our leaders all the ways forward. But we see things getting worse and worse. Now, that's a bit damning coming from the Sultan.
Also sincere, because in a democratic system and in a democratic rule, by now there should have been a motion to impeach the president. You are talking of human lives now, and it is one too many. It's not a matter of sentiments. Look, if you can no longer, if you can't do what the people want, if you cannot provide security for the people, the primary purpose of governance, according to the Constitution, is the welfare and the security of the people. It's introductory. That is the introductory part of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The primary purpose of governance is the welfare and the security of the people. So if any government fails in any of this, that person is not supposed to be in power. That's the essence of that provision of the Constitution. So if all of us, South and North, we are unanimous to the extent that this government has failed when it comes to security, for goodness sake, why are you keeping him?
Well,
but it will shock you that when you now
but
say,
I don't think it has come to that stage yet.
It has come to the stage because we are gambling with the life of human beings. We are gambling with the life of people.
That is in the face of the apparent inability of the army to...
You and I, we are saying it has not come to that stage. As an average parent there, that his child is missing either in Chibok or ask the mother or father of Leah Shaibu. Ask any of these ones that their children are missing. Whether it has come to the stage where the president should go or not. You and I, we are blowing grammar here because we don't have that direct. Do you know what it means to have your child missing?
You know, I understand exactly your outrage, and I dare say there will be more than a few viewers out there. But it's not exactly the same, it must be said, as the president and his team are not doing anything.
No, see, you don't pay staff. You don't pay your staff for effort. You pay your staff for results. Nobody employs anybody in an establishment that wants to grow and say you have put in effort. And you are being paid and retained for effort.
Yeah.
You will be paid, promoted, and retained for what? For results.
Okay, one moment, please. Good morning, Mr. Joshua.
Ogiori, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning to your guest.
Tony Ofayeta.
Yeah. Ogiori, this morning I want to appeal to you because this is a time when it is really very difficult for people to say the truth. Because if you say the truth, you are now an enemy of the people. We have come to a time where reasoning has been taken away from us. We are now talking from emotion.
How do you mean?
Emotion doesn't... yeah. You see, you started this thing by saying, how did somebody ferry away 330-something boys? That is a logical question to ask, right? No matter how, I don't know, I voted for the president in 2015. I'm not a politician. I voted for him because of his antecedents as a military head of state and his attitude towards corruption. And I know what happened that time. Nigeria got rid of him this same way because he was fighting corruption. That man lost his presidency because he was fighting corruption. And people hailed those who overthrew him. Now, I'm sure he has learned some lessons from that past. Most of the time he has been saying, I'm military head of state any longer. This is a civilian regime where things have to go through processes. So I hear people now talking about the president like he's a domestic father. He is somebody who just calls his boys to order, do everything I want you to do, and everyone obeys. No, it's not like that.
But Mr. Joshua, didn't you expect to hear from the president at some point in time over this sequence of troubles?
Uncle Yori, we have been hearing from him. Let me tell you something. let me tell you, I don't expect the president to have the attitude of another president. He has his style, and I'm reading things from what his style could be. You know, everybody is saying talk, talk, talk. Have you discovered that the moment the president talks, everywhere goes haywire? They start criticizing him. They will pick just one thing that he has said wrong and throw every other thing away. He said the youths are lazy, and then everybody is on him. If I were the guy, I'll be careful what I say. Like we have said, he's not a talking person, but he should perform. Now, what should he do, Uncle Yori, in the light of Nigeria? What should the president do? Let us talk to ourselves as citizens. Maybe we need citizenship orientation, Uncle Yori, in addition to a presidential action. If we are willing to be ruled, if we are willing to change Nigeria, one Buhari cannot stop us from doing it. Uncle Yori, that's my submission. I think we need to start thinking over this matter rather than just making emotional outbursts.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Joshua. You're entitled, everybody's entitled to his opinion. In fact, that's the essence of this program. Yeah. We want to hear all sorts of views. Now, it would appear that Mr. Joshua thinks that so far he has heard little more than emotionalisms. Well, again, his prerogative. But here we are looking at it because what he seems to be saying is, so what do you want to hear from the president?
Uncle Yori, you see, I told you, I said, my problem is not that the president should talk. Action. I'm mainly concerned about presidents being president progressively to the extent that we are seeing the results. There is no rocket science about this.
Because you even agreed when I said that it's not as if nobody here who is even being critical can say that the president and his team are not doing anything at all.
It's not possible. That's not it. Is a difficult thing.
Yes, that's not it.
You can't sit down in the studio here and begin to imagine the load the president of a nation is carrying.
But that we are not getting the desired results is what is exasperating people.
Look, and my
the Sultan of Sokoto said we are fed up.
My main problem with Mr. President is that you are keeping the same people that are doing the same thing all over and are not getting the desired result. You can't, there's no magic about it. Tony Ofoeton is Tony Ofoeton. Yori is Yori. When you get to your maximum, there's nothing you can do about it again. You either retreat to go and reschool yourself, something like that, but that you are still on that seat, you will always see as an insider. You can't see from outside the box.
Okay, thank you, Femi Fatoba, for calling in. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm going to be very brief. The issue in Nigeria is getting out of hand. During the military regime, the only hope Nigeria has then was the journalists. You were fighting for us, doing a lot of things for us. We appreciated that. But we find out that these days, it's like journalists they are running out, they are falling back. It's like they are afraid of speaking for us. It's like we no longer have confidence in journalists. You guys need to talk to yourselves. Let's speak the truth. On behalf of the people. You are the voice that we have. If we lose it this time around, I don't know.
So what in particular did you have in mind, Mr. Fatoba?
What I have in mind is that we should speak the truth.
Okay, and you've not heard enough of that?
No, we haven't. Let's compare the current journalism to the journalism of the 1993, 1994.
Okay. I hear you. All right then. Well, thank you very much for calling in. He was as...
I think if I would just add a little to what he has said is, I think I will narrow it down to investigative journalism. I will not make it so broad. Now, why I said so is, for example, you are talking about 333 missing Kankara boys. The question is, as a journalist, have you verified, do we truly have boys missing? Let's look at it from that angle first. If I'm a businessman...
Starting from the basics.
Yes, from the basics. Okay. Do we truly have boys missing?
So the answer to that is yes.
No, I'm not asking you.
Oh, okay.
I'm creating, a base upon which a journalist wants to operate as an investigative journalist. You understand? Or there are people that do not talk, or we just have 5 boys missing. But we want to make more money out of it. So we tell the whole world that we have 50 boys, 100 or 100,000 boys missing.
I hear you. It's important. Because in Jonathan's time, the presidency actually said they weren't even sure any girls were missing at a very, very early stage.
You understand what I'm saying? So you see, it is the role of the journalist now, investigative journalism, to look at all these variables. Talk to those that are frontliners and the like. And now come with a report or a documentary, like you have some foreign media who do and all those stuff like that. But I cannot also blame the average Nigerian journalist who does not have father and mother in government and knows very well that he has children at home and does not want to stay in any detention for too long. So he just does his job the way it's asked to do.
I hear you. And without prejudice to what Femi Patoba was saying, I mean, we talk about those issues. But as I said, without prejudice to what he was saying, the difficult questions we ask them, we don't get answers. We started off this morning by saying that there are so many areas that are not very, very clear. How did 333 human beings move and enough dust was not raised to attract attention? Where were the checkpoints, etc., etc.? I'm not saying that. That's why I emphasize that, Mr. Fatoba, thank you very much for calling in and putting it the way you did. But without prejudice to that, unless there are aspects of it that are not easy to know if you're not helped by those that are in the know. However, Mr. John in Festac, thank you very much for holding on, sir. Good morning. John in Festac, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
About the matter. Yes, I'm there. Good morning.
Good morning.
About the matter on the ground now, about the girls that we are kidnapped or that
the
we
boys.
Adopted.
The boys. We didn't get all our girls back, but still, now they've kidnapped some boys. And now the latest is that they have made contact with the governor in Katsina. And the president is saying that he's going to do everything. He will not rest until all our boys are returned. That's where we are.
Yeah, I understand. But, this is a country that all of us, even the citizens and the president, the governor, they don't know themselves, yeah? It's just that, how can you...
We don't know ourselves.
Hello? Can you hear me?
You said everybody, we don't know ourselves.
Yes. Like we are not, we are not standing on the truth. So let me put it that way.
Okay.
Understand?
Okay. Okay. I get you, John. Thank you very much for calling in. I mean, I said to John, I get you, John, but I don't really. It's just something that you do say.
I think he's basically talking about us basing, there should be some level of trust and truthfulness coming from the side of the government. Is he talking about
transparency?
Something
it's
like
part
that.
Of it.
Yes.
It's part of the truth.
Of course, it's part of truth. Truth is an omnibus word that accommodates a lot of things that have to do with
where is the transparency? Do we have, for example, the transparency that will satisfy non-professionals like us, let me say like me, in the way the military is going about its assignment? I mean, people are saying, people who know about these things are saying, do you know the marching orders that the military actually has? They don't just go there and do anything that they want. They operate on orders.
John Enenche said that the military actually cited the abductors.
Okay.
But that they did not exchange fire because of the fear of collateral damage.
You see now?
Now, but the question is this. Let us assume, without conceding that that was the position. Now, what happened subsequently? Did you call for a backup? Did you call for any backup? Let's assume that you don't want to have. Did you call for backup? Did you, for any reason, even trace them? Did you pursue them? Not at all. So
these are public enemies, and maybe someone like me can say that. Maybe that's because I don't know enough. Maybe there are those who know enough who are saying that, what does he know? Does he know how to use the term public enemies? These are not public enemies. These are our brethren. These are our kids and our kin. Therefore,
And time is always of essence when it comes to abduction. Kidnapping, abduction, time is of essence. You are talking of Friday. Today, Uncle Yori, is Tuesday. Those guys today, most likely would be in Niger or in Chad. Not even in the Kankara, deadly, according to them, they said it's a deadly forest.
Engineer Idris, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Yori, and well done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to align quickly with Mr. Fatuba. Unfortunately, I am so disappointed like every other Nigerian. First of all, I want to say that what this government lacks actually, I'm talking of its managers now, all the various, caliber of personnel that are currently working with Mr. President, beginning from Garba Shehu. You can see that there is no coordination completely. It happened severally. Each time any present issue comes up, the first thing you see, they will be speaking from both sides of their mouth. If you look at this current one, what is presently happening? While Garba Shehu is saying that 10 persons are abducted, the governor who is there on ground, who has received security briefing, is saying there are 333. And your reporter even said he added one, making 334. And somebody is still denied. So sometimes you begin to wonder what is the problem. And meanwhile, those who are even managing the president, they allow him to take to, inspecting his farm. The cows he has there or whatever. They should have allowed this to play it low, not even allow him know that he had gone out to inspect whatever cows he had or whatever, or just to go for picnicking and all of that. These are some of the problems. So it gives the impression that people are not bothered, despite the fact that a lot of people have been injured from this that happened, especially some of us that are from the north here. We find it very difficult to begin to tell our people that are presently doing well.
Yeah.
Look at all the crews and cracks all over. The National Assembly has raised a resolution asking that the president should take off the service chief. Why has he not done that? And meanwhile, the National Assembly is speaking from the people of the country, those who are their constituents, which of course by extension is the president's constitution. So the people are focused. Why hasn't he acted? And like Mr. Fadoba is saying, what is even happening? Nothing the president has done to have done that well with the people. So he's not talking. Does he now say that the president has nothing that can come out from his own? Hasn't he got his own thinking? Hasn't he got people who can manage the affairs without the people who are currently managing him? For instance, the other side of the pen, for him to at least have some people insider, people can tell exactly what is happening. So this is our problem. We know Kankara, I have been there. I know our Kaza, I've been very close to there. But like you already said, your name, sorry.
Ofoyeto.
Yeah, exactly. The movement, 300 persons, moving away, that evening, that night, to that place. I have spoken to people from that area. We know that there were a lot of people and cries, children shouting and all of that. And finally, are you saying that the president going to Katsina, they have not cordoned off that area? Is that what you are telling us? Security, and they have not deployed machinery to look at the satellite imagery of where the president is going to operate from, that kids can just take away like rats. And we are looking as if we are happy. They are saying, no, the president is doing well.
Yeah.
Come on, let's look at this fact and begin to understand the truth.
Thank you, Idris.
The issue of all of this will be ameliorated.
Thank you very much, Idris. We'll come back and address some of the things you said. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Still in studio with us. We're looking at the aftermath of the kidnapping of 333 boys, first instance. Now somebody has added one, so it might as well be 334. But even if it were one or two, we are saying that that is too many. And we've been looking at, the attitude of the authorities to this whole matter. By the way, I understand that Reverend Dominic is on the line already. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Yori.
Okay, thank you for holding on.
Yeah, Yori, look at the truth the last caller was talking about. And the truth is this. I can't hear you, but can I go on?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Now, this is the truth the last caller was talking about. Yori, let's ask this question. Everyone will not die one day. It's not an elite are not tired of this business. The Daft guest money was received in France. And the international community saw heavy matters in this matter. The Daft guests, they received their money in France in euro. Now, why are we going to pay this money now? They're making contact. And the governor told us they're making contact. From where? From Chad, from Benin Republic, from Nigeria. Remember, it's not this Boko Haram. This is what they call bandits. And bandit doesn't have international collaboration. We don't know. Bandit lives in Katsina and live in Katsina and stay in Katsina. Where is the 303 people? It's not an elite are not side of this business. This business can end today. If not an elite can come together. And President Buhari is in good position. He is the political elite, the highest level in Katsina. He can call his northern elite. He can call the religious leaders and ask themselves this question. Are children. What nonsense is this, Yori?
Yeah.
What this will say 333 people. I think the moon, I'm a pastor. Do you know the whole of 333 people? I'm a preacher for 38 years. Do you know the number of 333 people where they will stay and eat and drink in Nigeria? And we're negotiating to pay them another euro. I'm not tired of this mess.
Okay.
I support this government. I pull out my support. This is not what we think. We remove good luck because of this nonsense. But this is the worst of what we saw days of good luck. You are negotiating to pay the money again. I'm not tired of this mess.
All right.
Thank you, please.
Thank you very much for calling in, Reverend Dominic. And in addition to the, shall we say, complaints of all and sundry, the Sultan of Sokoto leading, a bunch of chiefs to commiserate with them in Katsina is actually now saying that we're fed up. We're fed up. And what he didn't say we can also imply, which is that, look, all the efforts that we've been told to be patient, that none of that seems to be working. In other words, going back to paraphrasing something you said, we're doing the same thing and expecting different results, and that's not going to work. And then somebody else spoke about the handlers of the president, and in relation to thinking it was a great idea to come up with the story and the picture of the president visiting his ranch in this time. I don't know what exactly the signal was that they intended to transmit, but
that's the height of bad journalism, as far as I'm concerned. Bad image presentation.
Okay. Yeah, let me take Sadiq from Okene. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for calling. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I just want to contribute my own for this discussion.
Sure.
I think it's unfortunate. We voted for this president. Hello?
We can hear you.
Yeah, I say it's unfortunate. We voted for this president because of he promised change. Since he came in, everything has changed to be very, very to the worst. It's unfortunate, and the people around the president, they are not doing well. They are not doing well. It's very, very unfortunate. I'm not. How can you allow bandits to kidnap about 333 students? How will their families feel? If it's your word, how will you feel? It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Everything is getting worse day in, day out.
Okay.
And the president is not doing anything. In France, the other time, a geography teacher was killed. The prime minister of France was there. The prime minister Macron was there. But the president is presently in Katsina. He cannot sympathize with the people. God, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Okay.
I regret voting for this president. I regret voting for him.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. Well, in the first instance, I understand the way our brother is speaking there, but it's not as if the president allowed 333 to be kidnapped. But I understand perfectly what he means, because and then somebody before then had asked this question. I think it was John from Festac. How come intelligence people hadn't blanketed Katsina State because the president was expected there? Whereupon...
No, it can't work like that. There's a specific area that the president is coming. Katsina is a very big state.
Yes.
Let's be realistic about some things.
Yes.
And in terms of cordling off, it has to be
No, I'm not talking about cordoning off. I'm talking about
in terms of
the knowledge that the intelligence that they have.
He's a citizen of that state. That is one thing you must understand.
He's also the president.
And he's also the president. So it is the area that he is that would have to get that maximum security. But the issue is whether on hearing the abduction of those boys, and knowing full well, like John Enenche said, that military cited them, whether the presence of the team of military with the president couldn't have been used as a, what do you call it now, as a backup team to assist in intercepting, placing barrier, preventing them from moving further.
Okay.
You understand?
I do.
Now, these are
understand.
things to me that now calls for so many questions that are unanswered. And that's why I said that if you look very deep, you analyze very deep, you see high level of compromise. You see, you know, a well-orchestrated plan. And if you ask me, I will tell you, for the sake of economic gain.
Oh, okay. You know,
gain.
I don't want to argue with you, but when I said, look, that the president is scheduled to visit Katsina, you know, I understand what you said, that it's a large state. You can't cover everywhere. You put security where the president is going to be and all of that. I appreciate that. But the fact that Katsina is in the crosshairs of the intelligence community simply because the president is going to spend some time there. Now, I'm not saying lock down Katsina, but because Katsina is in the crosshairs, I'm sort of surprised that there wasn't intelligence that in as long as we are discussing Katsina, even though within Katsina it is far from where the president is, but there are some people planning this kind of a thing.
Now, it depends on, you know, the way intelligence works. I said this before. It depends on who is to implement the intelligence. And when you have sleeper cell in security agencies, I'm not saying that that's what, but look at the professional narrative now. Sleeper cells are people that are sympathetic to the cause of terrorism or particular terrorist organization. Now, if you have
sorry, you come back and explain it, continue with it, but Yakub has been waiting for a while. I'm so sorry.
Please go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Yakub.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And Mr. Opunya, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yakub.
Actually, I don't think maybe some of the Mr. President handler, I am very sure they are listening to this program. Mr. President, Mr. Yoyi, you can see that some of the Mr. President supporters, starting from me, Reverend Dominic, Mr. George, and others, all of us are now starting to complain. Complain bitterly because this is not what we bargained for. We bargained for, quote and unquote, when we are planning to vote for Mr. President 2015 and then voting for him again 2019, we believe he can do it better than the past regime. I was saying that if you already are trying to be corrected, how many hours it took all these bandits to take away almost 300 plus puppies from that place? How many hours?
Which is the question we asked.
Hello, are you listening to me?
Very, very much so. That is the question that we asked. Yeah. This is the baffling thing.
Hello, Mr. President, first something, that are they calling for the backup? Because if they are taking puppies away on bike, I think the military should...
Okay, indeed, that's the question that we asked. We started with that. And since then, Femi Fatoba, I think, has also reiterated, just about every thinking person will ask that, wait a minute, we're not talking about 30 people, 333. And if you want, add the one they added to make it 334. How can that kind of...
if you are using a truck, it will take a minimum of 10 trucks.
If you're using a truck. Now we're hearing that they were on motorcycles. Then we're also hearing that some were trekking.
That was why I asked, was there abduction? If the answer is yes, what is the true volume of abduction vis-a-vis the one that is being declared? And is it true that more bogus numbers are being declared?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, for what purpose are bogus numbers being declared?
Good.
And if we now do a juxtaposition with what has happened in Chibok and in Dapchi, that ransoms were eventually paid. Who received the ransom? Who paid the ransom? How much was paid? Now these things are kept in high level of secrecy, and they are paid in foreign currency, in a country that is already in recession. Now, at the end of the day, I think it is the irresponsibility of DSS to go into it, resolve the issue, redo once and for all. Let it be a total once and for all.
Well,
it is DSS that can do it.
What I said in relation to the army about our hearing that the army doesn't just move any old how. They're very structured. They operate on orders. I wouldn't be surprised if the DSS themselves are similar, that they need orders I don't know.
No, the DSS don't need order to gather information.
To gather intelligence.
They don't need order to gather any information, to process information into intelligence.
But
they don't need, but the only area
who
where
is going to
order
action
is needed, yes, Where order is needed is when the intelligence is now out.
Yes.
It's been distributed, it's always distributed on the principle of need to know. You know, and whosoever is going to implement that intelligence, whether he's getting the order to implement it. I agree that security, especially the military, generally, it's a regimented profession to the extent that if you are not asked to shoot, you don't shoot. If you are not asked to move, you don't move. And don't forget that, Okiori, I've said this several days on this forum, that the president, to me, has not exhibited the right political will. We have military, and I'm saying it, military in this country are capable of solving all the security crises.
Political will sort of works both ways, doesn't it? Because and then Chen, the media, the spokesperson for the army, he was saying they cited them, but for fear of incurring collateral damage.
What is the mandate the present military has in fighting terrorism?
You just heard it now. You
what
just
is
heard
the
it.
mandate?
They want, they want to do this job without collateral damage.
Uncle Yori, if the military has the mandate to release those boys, they know what to do. Leave the issue of collateral damage. The two of the boys, from reports that we are hearing now, two of the boys are already dead. So what are we talking about collateral damage? If the president is really sincere and sure and says, I want these boys back, or else all of you get out of that office in 48 hours. I want these boys back, or all of you resign. Uncle Yori, it will shock you.
I won't be shocked, because I've been told by people who have been in the military that the military considers very few obstacles as insurmountable. Very few. Very few.
What is it?
So if the commander-in-chief orders so, then they will deliver on that order, ordinarily speaking. So this is where, because we are bushmen, ignoramuses, we are not, you know, there was a time we used to be called bloody civilians. So we will say it the way we see it, but not being trained. And the result of their being trained is what is led in the military to, one, the incessant calls for the change of the service chiefs. They are shaking their heads internally. It must be that you don't know enough. At least Mr. President has not given that order. And Mr. President must be feeling for all of Nigeria. He must actually be feeling. So this must be costing him a lot emotionally, that here are all my people making these suggestions that they think are good suggestions, but I am not able to go that way. If only they knew. Because they know something we don't know.
Like what? Is there a covenant between the service chief and Mr. President that were they elected like Mr. President?
Okay, Peter.
They were appointed, not elected.
Peter in Makurdi, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning, people. I cherish the discussion. What I want, one point I want to contribute here is we take Mr. President. And the number one thing he promised Nigeria that everybody was jubilating was security. Mr. Uncle Yori, as you sit there, if you lost a loved one under this government, you know what insecurity has caused to Nigerians. You talk of, like, for example, in Benue, we do farm. And if we are to pay before we access our farm, then we will not be called food basket of the nation any longer. They talk more of places where it's hardly rainfall much, and people struggle, spend money, spend all resources to get little from their farm, and the guy access it. Then tell me, how are you going to survive? So it tells you in the face that our president has totally turned his back on Nigerians.
All right, then.
For the video that just displayed yesterday that the president visited his farm. So is the president telling us that his farm is more than humans in Nigeria?
It was an unfortunate, thank you very much. So much. Well, just in one's humble opinion, it was an unfortunate, you know, what do they call that thing? Opportunity to whatever. They do these PR things. But that somebody in the presidency thought that was a good idea to send for, you know, equipment so that we can show that. I don't know what they wanted to show. At all. But they managed to show, give the impression, which I know is not right, that the president is, you know, he's cool, no matter what else is going on within that state. That, somehow I don't think the president was down with that, but they did it nevertheless. And now here are people, you know, commenting on that.
The vote of a president is that of empathy. And anything that falls below that, even the former president or the outgoing president of America, it's one of the, when the issue of Black Lives Matters, if you remember that, it was the issue of how empathic are you to the death of the blacks in America.
Okay, okay.
You understand?
Yeah, you're right. Mr. Isaac in Ikorodu in Lagos State, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
With you. I really appreciate CBC and our guest,
Mr. Tony Ofoyeta.
On the studio there, Mr. Tony. He's our DG, a security expert. Thank you for...
Thank you.
Isaac? Oh.
Yes, sir. Can I go on, sir?
Yes, please. Please, go on.
Okay, okay. Thanks to Mr. Tony Ofoyeta and every other person doing wonders in that TVC. Now, I have a burden here. The first one is the issue of empathy. Now, the point is that are we really, is the president of this country really showing concern for these people that have been adopted? Take, for instance, for the past, 2-3 days, some people have been adopted, and then it's possible that we have parents that have up to 1 or 2 or 3 pupils in that same school. Maybe there are parents that have 1 or 2 or 3 pupils from that same school, and their children have been adopted, and the president has not really come out to address the entire nation to tell us that this is what we are doing about the issue, is giving us a concern. Has the president addressed the nation on this? And then the leadership of the school, have they come out to tell us publicly that these are the actual number of people adopted? What have we done about this issue?
Yeah.
No, these are points that are bothering us here. And we cannot just be, something has to be done. If you look at the Chibok girls, the way it happened and went away just like that. What lesson did we learn from the experience of the Chiboks?
Okay.
And what have we put in place as a measure to ensure that such a thing never happens again?
Thank you very much, Isaac, for calling in. Appreciate your call. Excellent question. What lesson exactly are we now going to claim we learned from the Chibok girls saga? Now we have the Chibok boys. May God not let us have Chibok women, Chibok women, and then Chibok men.
Anyway, you see,
or even Chibok children, as you say.
As a solution, I think one of the things I would advise the government to look at is, I've said this severally, and I'll still say it again. The Nigerian Corps of Commissioners is an arm of the Nigerian Legion, which is also of the military. Now, these guys are, their primary mandate is school protection. That is their primary, just as you have NSCDC's primary mandate being that of pipeline protection. The primary mandate of the Nigerian Corps of Commissioners is school protection. So all I expect the government to do is to kindly deploy this personnel. And they are all over the federation. Okay. Deploy this personnel in all schools. Let them have a backup military so that if there's anything, they can always call them. Okay. And those that are benefiting, please let me beg them. Okay. Please.
We're going to have to leave it here.
I know.
Please. We'll keep on at it. But thank you very much, Tony Ofoyeta, DG International Institute of Professional Security, for coming on this morning. And also thanks to you out there for calling in and making the program. That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.